Tool's where it's at, right, Scott?
No, dude. No, this is all arena rock. You guys are out of your minds.
Tool is not arena rock.
All right, then what does Scott listen to in his free time?
Oh, you guys wouldn't know any of the bands that I listened to growing up. Like, legit zero of them.
Okay, let's hear a couple.
I listened to Manchester Orchestra.
Oh, I love them. Yeah.
Oh, you've heard them because I talked about them and we know each other.
No, I know.
Right? I've had them on my iPhone from forever.
Manchester Orchestra? Dude, I have that tattooed on my body. Like, most people don't even know what that symbol is. Manchester Orchestra.
No, I have it back on my like old iPod. Like I was into them when they first everything.
When they first popped off.
Yeah, your first band you didn't even throw us off. Good job. What's next?
Okay, what's next? Let's see. Oh, Deer in the Headlights.
Nope, didn't know that.
No.
I thought that was just a phrase.
One of my favorite bands. Absolutely. That dude, and I like to this day, I still search his name trying to find his new projects. Killer writer. Weird indie music.
You guys, number 2.
You can't bring out indie music, doesn't count.
So I guess I shouldn't say the Front Bottoms.
No? Okay, you lost us.
You guys are missing out on like high quality material right here. Straight up. Killer mood music.
What kind of mood, though?
The best kind of mood, Christian.
Tool is the best kind of
God,
mood.
Get out.
It's like metaphysical.
Dude, no.
It's an experience.
And I'm over here driving around my car, my mom's car with my 90s hip hop.
I know, listening to Beastie Boys.
Oh, heck yeah.
Beastie
I love the Beastie Boys.
You can't go wrong with the Beastie Boys.
I love the Beastie Boys.
See, I think you can actually go wrong with the Beastie Boys. Am I alone in that? Probably. But
the worst part is my daughter loves the song Girls because she thinks it's really cool because they say girls and she's all like, yeah, girl. Like she loves Wonder Woman. So she's like, girls. And then like at the end they're like, girls do the dishes. And I'm like, hey, like that is
wow.
Yeah. Damn you, Beastie Boys. All right, you want to enter?
I mean, it's technically still recording.
Yeah. You're like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
No,
that's how we start. We talk about music choices and get angry at each other and then settle into a nice freaky mood.
We always have a ramble at the beginning.
It's hard to get our thoughts in order.
Yeah. Well, I think today more so.
Our thoughts in order. That's never happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Name one time on the podcast where that's happened, Heather. Come on. Thoughts in order. What are we serious about all this?
No seriousness here.
Today is extra both special and disheartening because this is the season finale of season numero uno. I'm going to say English. Season 1 of the Freaky Deaky. And it feels really good. We've come a long way. We've made a lot of crazy episodes. And to start this off, I want to ask what your favorite episode has been of all of them. Let's hear number 1.
That's a tough question.
Do you guys like the show?
I'm trying to think on which one.
Are you guys fans of the podcast?
I'm trying. Halloween special was really fun. Both the specials I felt like were really fun to do.
Christmas was more hilarious than it was
because we just got
insightful.
to like add in like funny parts, like about what your Christmas traditions were. That one was really fun to do. I learned, Christian never watched Home Alone. Deprived of Macaulay Culkin in his life.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hits.
So those were fun to do.
I like the sleep ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say getting to talk with Will and Amanda and having our first guest and talking about like sleep anything, paralysis.
Yeah, like the sleep ones are because especially that's when I learned I'm like we're gonna have fun with this podcast because the music came in at the right that's when I started realizing okay this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Well, and fun tip for season 2, we're gonna have a lot of stuff on that sleep study because I'm actually reading a book which we're gonna incorporate a lot into different episodes with different phenomena from the sleep. So that's going to be really exciting and I'm excited about that. So stay tuned for next season.
Yeah. I like the interconnectedness. Like we go one place, but then we come back and circle around and
most people call them tangents, but you said the interconnectedness. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I like the way you worded that. Yeah. I think for me, my favorite moment is still me trying to prove to you that we don't know how far away stars are in episode 5 of Dogman. That was a fun argument. Mm-hmm. And I still think about that to this day. I'm like, Christian's out of his fucking mind. We know how old rocks are. Get out, dude. No way. It's impossible.
And that's one that people bring up too. Like Beliefful even thought that was funny.
Dustin, one of our loyal listeners, was not happy with you that day.
Well, Dustin, that's okay. I appreciate you tuning in.
You're like, I wasn't happy with Christian.
He was like, but it's science. So when the day comes where all these things you believe are proven true and somebody's like, it's science. And I'm over here like, Scott, remember it's magic.
I know.
Interconnectedness. We'll come back to it.
It's the magic. Yeah, no, I get it. And look, I'm not saying that anything I've ever said on this podcast is accurate. I am not claiming that at all. I'm saying that they don't know definitively 100% that's the truth because no one was there.
The podcast knows definitively, even though Scott doesn't, that we are able to measure the distance of stars and the age of certain rocks and organic material because science has discovered that.
Yeah.
Scott is the outlier, I think, here.
Contrarian. I think contrary to that. I hope, is that what contrarian is?
Yeah, you're kind of choosing to believe something that is contrary to actual fact, but you're still going to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say choosing to believe something speculative. But here we are. And that's beside the point because it happened again. It roped us back in, Christian, right to that moment. And we're back at each other's throats about space and stars and time and rocks and shit.
I think we're going to find what we're about to talk about where we're actually in tune with each other.
Yeah.
So this is going to be fun because I'm not always a skeptic on everything. And I think you're about to find that out.
We have a really exciting guest
We do.
today.
Yeah, we
ending
should
out
probably
our
get to that.
season. Yeah.
You are now entering the realm of the Freaky Deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
She's been patiently listening to us.
I know. This is how it starts. Sorry. Welcome to the show, Amanda. Thank you for joining us on this, our season finale.
Thanks for having me.
First things first, that you are the wife of our first guest, Will, back in the sleep paralysis episodes. And I think that is amazing. And what a way to cap off a season.
Yes.
So we, probably me especially, I'm excited to hear your stories because there haven't been too many people that have been on my side with this is absolutely a paranormal, strange thing that's happened. But you are one of those people that does agree. And actually, you know, you've got so many stories of your own that we're super excited to hear a few of them. So hearing that you were willing to come on the podcast again, technically, is just what a blessing.
Yes.
What a treat for us and our listeners. If you would, when did your paranormal experiences first start?
So I guess I've always had experiences with, what I feel is supernatural things. I've always felt like there was presences around me. Like I could just feel, it just feels different in certain areas. Like sometimes like I could feel it going past me. And then like as far as the night thing, sleeping, I had real horrible nightmares and I would like sleepwalk. I don't know if my parents separated really early in life and I had like really horrible experiences there. But I would wake up knocking on my grandparents' door, got out, I would unlock the door in my sleep and would just go and like go to my grandparents all the time, wake up and like dogs would be around me and I'd have just things, I don't know how to explain like when they first started. The older I've gotten, the more I can see and like put things together. Actually, I've seen beings, not really beings, but like ghosts.
Now, when you say that, like, especially with the presences, like you feel it. So is it something that you physically see or is it really just more like a feeling, like almost like a inner like voice telling you like, oh, this is bad or something's going on here?
A lot of it is like just a feeling, like I could just feel something else in the room with me.
Yeah.
Like I know there's something there. Like I could just feel, if it's like a bad, ominous feeling, I could just feel, it's like almost suffocating. Like it'd feel, just say like back home in Alabama, I'd go into the room and just feel like it was like crushing my chest. Like something would like reach in there and like would just be squeezing my heart.
Damn.
Just a horrible, horrible feeling. I've seen ghosts, apparitions and stuff. The Hat Man,
Yeah.
I saw him, but that was way after I had started my job at this hospital that I work at. I saw a little kid ghost there, which when I first started, they told me it was haunted. And then that some of the, like our normal patients like that were with it would even see like a little boy like playing in the water fountain and stuff. And one night it was like midnight when I worked night shift and I turned around and it was like right behind me. And then I woke up and saw the Hat Man one morning in my house, and I was telling people at work about it. They said that they used to see him at work.
At work?
Yeah. Like,
and like you physically saw like an apparition?
yeah, it was like the Hat Man that I saw or whatever was completely black. Like I could see a black shadow person.
Like a silhouette, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could see through it like a little bit, you know. I could see my whole house through him, but he was like dark and black. He had like a top hat on, almost like an Abe Lincoln hat. And I described it like I came out of the bedroom. It was in the middle of the daytime, 12 or 1 o'clock. I came out of the bedroom and I saw him and I was like, shit, this isn't going to happen today. I was like, nope. And so I turned around and went back in the bedroom. And when I came back out, it was gone. And then I described it to people at work and they said, dude, we used to see him at work all the time before you started. So they're like, you just took him home with you.
Oh, that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
That feels even more.
Those are words you want to hear.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just feel like things kind of attach to me when I go somewhere. Like I was at a store the other day and it was like an antique store. And I just had this bad feeling every time I'd walk close to this rack, like that had some stuff on there. Like whenever I walked into it, like it would just almost like I was drunk, like disoriented, and like everything started like wobbling. And I was just like, holy shit, what the hell is going on?
Damn.
And like I had to leave that area. I was like, whatever is over here, I don't want it in my house.
That's nuts.
Like I've had stuff like that all my life.
Do you think that's like just sensitivity, or do you
I was about to
think
say, it's like Amanda, doesn't she fit the age range when they say like indigo children?
possibly? Yeah.
Maybe you're one of them.
Yeah, I do feel like a sensitivity thing. I don't know. I've tried to like tell people about it like all my life, and they just be like, oh, it's nightmares. Oh, it's fine. Just
Thank you.
know,
Yeah.
just go to sleep. You're okay. Like you've been taught at a young age to be normal when you're not normal.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah, you grow as a child, this world is magical, and that's ground out of you as you grow up and become an adult. So
Yeah.
there, at some point, you almost can't see the magic anymore, at least most people. Do you feel like this is maybe something that was in your family before you?
I do feel like that. Like my mom, I feel like is kind of sensitive, and like my grandmother's always talked about stuff. Like they've always kind of had these superstitions about ghosts and stuff, and they've always talked about seeing them. And like my aunt said that she saw her, this is like not my story, but you know, she saw her dad, I think it was, rocking her baby one night and saying, it's going to be okay. Everything will be fine. And then he was gone. But, you know, I don't really know. That's not my story. That's theirs. But I do feel like it does run generational.
Right. That's what it seems like when you hear about somebody that's sensitive to the world around them, that it is something that you've seen in their family before. And that almost proves that they're even more so that there is such a thing, because it's not just one person randomly. It stays usually within the family.
That was the one thing that bummed me, because I've seen stuff, and so instantly, like, my thought is to ask my parents back, hey, did you guys ever see things when you were growing up? And they're both of them looking at me like, no. I was like, huh, great. And then I'd ask my siblings, and both of them were like, no. Well, I guess maybe I'm just a fucking lunatic. I don't know what to tell
Maybe you're
anyone.
the first.
Yeah, but see, why would that randomly start like middle of a generation somewhere, or middle of a like family line?
It had to
Do you
start
think
somewhere.
it's also having an upbringing? Sorry to butt in, but with like religion.
But
I mean,
at
because
that
if
point-
everything when I was a kid was just always like it was brought back to religion, like the devil and stuff, and having
Yeah.
parents
Yes.
with that upbringing where your parents might not be that way, and they're open minded to like different things. Like with us, it was just really cut and dry. Like you die, you go to heaven, you go to hell, and that's it. And it wasn't really explored or ever talked about or
Yeah.
anything different than that. If you had a hard time, then it was the devil tempting you or this, you know. So I'm just maybe our upbringing.
It could be, but at that, I feel like my mom would have seen shit too, because she was the one that, you know, brought religion to me pretty much. So
Because my parents are strictly like, ghosts aren't real. That's not real. You know, those kind of
Yeah.
things. And
I'll show them that picture that's sitting right there
I
and
know.
ask them the same question and be like, what do you think now? Like, what?
Mhm.
Explain it. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you need. You should just carry that around with you everywhere. And anyone that denies you, just be like, well, look at this picture then. Huh? What do you
because
think
my
about
parents
this?
are like, oh, would you talk about aliens today? Did you talk about this? And I'm like,
think-
it just like, it's like fairy tales to them. They're just like, nope, that's not real.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned this picture.
Yeah.
Now you need
Okay.
Nobody else can see it.
Anyone that remembers this sleep paralysis episode we did with Will remember us talking about them like having a picture of what grandfather, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Will's grandfather.
Mhm.
Yeah, clear as day. Full body apparition in this photograph.
And I posted it on social media.
Yeah.
It was on Facebook. So
I
if
just
you go
looked
back on
at the
page and
actual
look.
picture, and that's an impressive picture. It's pretty convincing, and
And for people that are confused, this is our skeptic weighing in on the photograph.
yeah,
Even down to the detail of it, though, like when Amanda describes like how he wore his hat and his overalls, you know, hanging down on his side, and you look and you can tell that, and even down to his shoes he wore, like it's just the craziest thing. Like,
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Nobody can make that up.
Yeah, what were your thoughts when you first saw that picture printed out like that?
Oh, I was like, that's Tunkin, like 100%, like that's Tunkin. And that's where he always was his, like the happiest of, like, that's where he wanted to be. So that's like his happy place. That's why he's there. That's why his spirit's there.
Yeah, we know people that just have this spot in their life, whether it's on a porch or on a certain couch, that's their spot. And it's not, I don't know if it sounds like it's not surprising at all. It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly where I would expect him to be, I guess.
I feel like his grandmother like haunted that place as well. Like a lot of things that happened there was his grandmother. But then there's something else that was there that's like evil feeling. And you got to remember back in Alabama, there was all the Native American land that was taken away, or people, you don't know how many people were killed on that land before before they settled that, and it was like generations, like this is yours now, you passed to family or whatever.
Right. A lot of anguish in that region.
Yeah. So there's some things there that's like just attached to that land that, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier I was talking about how you, as a kid, you're like told to forget about all this.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when you get older and you start experiencing things, you're like, okay, I'm not crazy, or maybe I am crazy. But then you start looking into things that could explain these possibilities. And like I've reached out into like more like my, okay, here we go, magic side. But
yeah, let that out.
I don't necessarily believe, like I believe that you can manifest what you want. I've like with energy, everything is energy and it spins it back the way you put it out there. So like if you're always negative, you're going to get negativity back. If you put out positivity, then you're going to get positive stuff back, like in crystals and herbs and stuff, you know. But exploring that stuff, like it has helped me with my seeing other ghosts and things like that have came out easier now, and I'm not so scared of it anymore. Like as when I used to be like just terrified of it and just like, please just go away, please go away. Now I'm more accepting of it.
Well,
so I try to explore it a little more.
When you were younger, did you feel the weight of society kind of like that was part of the issues? Maybe you were worried about the judgments or not fitting in with the society around you. And then maybe as you explored it a little bit more, you understood, no, it doesn't, that society stuff doesn't matter as much as this energy and this spiritual.
For sure.
And the connectiveness you're going to feel, even though it's hard to go through sometimes, in the end, you kind of understand maybe better than the rest of us, the reality that's around us that maybe someone like me couldn't see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the older I get, I'm just like, I don't really care what people think of how I feel. Like, I know what I'm seeing. I know what I'm experiencing. I know when I go into a room, I can read how other people are feeling. Like, I can immediately catch on when someone's depressed or when, like, someone's angry and no one else is, like, really in tune to it. I'm pretty in tune to, like, energies when I walk into the rooms. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm tired of being, like, put in my little box, and I just want to be me and be free. So,
but I think that's, like I said earlier, telling them like knowing you for years and not seeing this side of you. I think that goes back to like our lives of being military wives, and you have to like act and be a certain way. That's just what's expected of you. Like you're the wife, you're the mom, you stay home and you fit these norms. And then when you get out and be on the civilian side, you see like you can just be more relaxed. I know my husband, I think your husband as well, both way more relaxed and happy than they were. We're open to more things than we, did back then. And it's just like, so that's what helps you break away from that kind of. And I think you've built like really healthy relationships, and I believe what you say and just find it fascinating.
Yeah. And with my profession too, like it's also like frowned upon for you to have abnormal views and things. So, but I don't care,
Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions placed on us in society to where we don't get to connect to the things that aren't quite as visible, or you can't touch them quite the same. It's just not accepted. It's getting better all the time, and I think that maybe helps a little bit. But there is a lot of restriction on that kind of thinking, on being open to those kind of things.
In the military, I had there was experience when we lived on base, and we lived in pretty new housing. I think we were only the second family that lived there. Will had taken our kids to Alabama, and I always heard this little kid laughing and playing when our kids were in bed, but the walls were really thin. Usually you could hear the other families that were living around you. But it was always late at night because I worked night shift, and when I didn't work, I was always really up late. So I'd always hear these little kids laughing and playing, running up and down the stairs all the time, and I'm like, no, that family's not up that late. And Will, even when he would stay up late with me, he'd be like, tell the kids to go to sleep. And I'm like, they are asleep. This is what I tell you. I hear all the time, Like, I'm telling you, I hear these kids. And he had taken our kids to Alabama, and it was just me. And I was up late, and I kept hearing this laughing and playing. I was like, Jesus, would you just lay it off already? You know, like I was getting angry with it because I was over it. So I go upstairs, and my daughter had these My Little Pony figurines. They were like about 1 inch, 2 inches tall, you know. They were in a perfect circle on the ground. There was like 6 of them, maybe 8. They were in a perfect circle on the ground in front of the toy box, right in front of my room. And I was like, holy shit.
What does that mean though? Like, what do you think why the symbolism? Like, why a circle? Is it just to be like, hey, we're here, by the way? Or does it mean something?
I don't know. And I was just like, fuck it. I'm not picking those things up because I don't want to deal with if I pick it up, if it's going to make it angry.
Yeah.
So I
have like my hair on my arms is standing up right now.
That's nuts. Oh my God.
So I just like left them there, and I went to bed, and I was like, please, I don't know if I want them to still be there in the morning or if I want them to be gone, but they were still in a perfect circle. And I was like, fuck. So I got angry, and I picked them up, and I just threw them in the toy box. And I told Will about it, which he's not a believer in half the shit that I tell him.
But what does he say to that? Like, how could you say anything other than, wow, that's crazy.
But listen to Will, who told us all these things, these crazy stories. And like every time you'd be like, so you don't believe it's like anything, after sleep paralysis? No, nothing. But, I saw a UFO. We're like, wait, well, what? And then like, but it's totally fine. Oh, then, my ghost grandpa, like, Will, like, how does all this stuff happen?
This
and you don't believe
freaky.
It? Like,
yeah. He just calls me crazy. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm crazy, but this happened.
He says that, but do you think in all reality, like deep down, he kind of believes it a little bit? Or do you think he, like, honestly, just through and through, he's like, nope?
I don't think if he does, he's just like not fazed by it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like as you become more comfortable accepting this view, do you feel like maybe there's more a push for communication with you? Like, to me,
yeah,
it almost sounds like in your story and in stories similar that once whatever's around you knows that you're paying attention, that thing communicates with you or it works on communicating. Even if you can't understand, that somebody's or something is trying to make a connection with you.
Oh, yeah. And like, we've moved a couple times, and I've always had experiences everywhere we've gone. I've had experiences of ghosts, and I'm like, you cannot tell me every flipping house that I've lived in.
Yeah, right.
It's haunted. Like, it's me at this point. And that's when I started realizing that moving, at first I just thought, oh, this house is haunted in Alabama, and I'm just moving, and I'm starting to branch out and like be on my own, away from like the push and the control of the Southern mentality and stuff,
right.
And like my family, being able to explore the side that I've always like been interested in. I've always been in the magic. I've always been so interested in it and wanted to and I've had to like secretly study it in high school growing up and everything,
Oh, damn. So you're like pretty like hardcore, right? Like you really looked into this stuff when you were like pretty young?
I mean, I wouldn't say that because I don't do spells, like even like making spell bottles and stuff like that. I don't do any of that. I mean, I do journal, but I don't write spells. I don't cast spells. I don't cast circles. I do tarot readings. I read books. I read a lot of magical books.
Yeah.
But that's really what it's about, right? Knowledge.
Yeah.
Like,
no, exactly. Is it like a curiosity thing, do you think, more? Or is it
it's
like just a fascination of it?
It's like I know that's a part of me, but I don't know how to access like all of it yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, so I read a bunch of things because I don't know where to start, like to access like my true.
You're kind of getting to know yourself finally.
Yeah, and
you're
it's been blocked off.
You're like, this is the person that I've always wanted to meet, but I don't quite understand yet. It's like, and coming from the South, there is a stronger religious presence. Mm-hmm. Is that what kind of made you have to keep it undercover for a while?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, like, growing up with even like my family being super religious and like, yourself. And I know many girls I know, like it's learning to like, it's okay to break from what you were raised in and think outside that. And
yeah, even my kids, because like I'll say stuff and Will's like, you need to stop that. You're making your kids start thinking stuff like that. But like every house, like I say, they're definitely come to you now. Like right. I feel like they're trying more to like, now that they know, like they definitely are drawn toward me and they always have been. But now I can like kind of focus more on the fact that they're there. And like, I know, I'm like, fuck, here we go again. Yeah. And then like Elise will say that she's heard stuff, like she'll hear like scratching in the wall or stuff, and I don't really know and this is where I sound like a hypocrite, because a lot of times I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, I just think that they hear me talking. Like, I feel like they hear me talking about it and they just want to kind of be similar. And that's why I feel like a hypocrite toward them, because I'm like, I was always brushed off as a child. Everyone brushes you off as a child.
Yeah.
And it's then when you're an adult and you're still seeing it and and then you're talking about it and you're bringing light to it, and then people are, maybe that can happen. That can be true. But even me.
Oh, yeah. Same thing. I sleptwalk as a kid and had night terrors. And so my son does. And my mom, like now being older, I'm like trying to like listen to him, like, and try and get any knowledge about what's happening. If there's any kind of message and what's going on, like I feel bad, but like I'm looking at alternative views, like, and he's my sensitive kid, more open to things, but he has like night terrors, nightmares. Like I've even texted Scott about it. Like we have had a rough while with nightmares and waking up. And I'm like, feel bad for kids like Scott. And he's had to deal with that and see things. I had sleepwalking, but I don't remember ever seeing anything or anything like that.
But part of me, like, and maybe you could relate to this. Like, do you feel kind of special? It's almost like in a weird way, it's a superpower. Everyone wants to be a superhero, and the ability to sense things that aren't in the natural realm or whatever you want to call it, and see these things, even though it's terrifying at times, it's also kind of like wow, that's a huge deal.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's like a little bit of a gift if you can if you look at it as like death not scary and they're not haunting to be malicious, like it's someone that's tortured and needs like, there's a peace in that area, like you said, like who knows? But looking at it as more like, oh, I get this extra sense and I can feel these things. And
so the ghost kind of, I don't know, that goes to me like on like all the energies and like astral planes and stuff like that. I feel like it's just where their energies can just kind of like come over into our area for just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they want to let their presence known and sometimes they just slip through. I feel like some of it's like, I told you guys the most terrifying thing I've ever seen was that little kid in my house. Like after I saw the guy, the shadow man or whatever. This was pretty close to Christmas, I feel like. Maybe a little before, maybe November or something of last year.
It was just this last year?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty recent. I had been doing a lot of tarot readings, but I mean, I've never done a Ouija board. I bought one, like a play one for Halloween, but I'd never even touched it on the board. And I was like walking out, like I don't know, I had got up in the middle of the night to go get something to drink, and we had like those lights on above the stairs, where you can like mood lighting, I guess you could turn it down.
Oh,
where
I know
it wasn't
all about mood lighting.
Yeah. And
clearly all this.
It's my favorite thing. So I understand.
Well, it was kind of dim, and I looked down, and what made me like take a double look is because it was just like the most terrifying feeling I'd ever, it was just the most ominous and just scariest shit I've ever seen and felt. I've seen a lot of ghosts and I've felt a lot of scary things, but this was just pure evil. I looked and it was just I couldn't see through it like I could.
It was solid.
It was solid, yeah. I mean, just a shadow figure, just solid in the bottom of my stairs, just sitting there. And it was kind of like crouched almost, and I was just like, holy shit. And I went like this, and then I would, when you blink, it goes away, right? And I'm just like, holy fuck, it's still there. And I just took off running. Like, it didn't leave. It stayed for a couple of seconds. And I just took off running and went and jumped back in the bed and was like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's what you do. Yeah.
I was crying. I was just like bawling. It was the scariest shit I had ever felt and seen. I don't know. It was been the only time I've ever seen it. Only time I've ever experienced that.
Do you feel like, and I'm going to tell, not a story, it's not a story, but do you feel like in this case, like maybe evil was just passing by and all of a sudden looked up and like, oh shit, she can see me.
Because it was kind of hiding. Like that crouch feels like a hide.
Yeah, like you caught it. And then that's why maybe like things, do you feel like these things just pass through sometimes and all of a sudden they look over at you and kind of understand? Like in this case, like if it's not bothering you, maybe it was just one of those weird times where you two recognized each other on a level that people like me don't understand.
I feel like anytime you dabble in any type of magic, like your light, I think we all like have like this light energy, like your beam shines brighter than others and it draws all other magical things to you, whether that be good or bad.
Right.
Just out of curiosity. And then when they're there, like, then that's when they determine, like, if do they want to harbor bad things towards you, or they're just like curious and just passing through. It's how I feel. And I feel like a lot of my experiences have happened that way. It's just things just like, hey.
What do you do to make yourself mentally tough? Because you have to be mentally tough if you're going to see things like this. I mean, you have to be prepared for whatever shows up. What do you like? Your reading and studying, I'm sure helps. But is there anything like special you do to like have your brain in the right spot to deal with this stuff, or is it just natural?
No, it's just natural. I don't do any type of preparation. I think meditation for some people is a really good thing. I should, but I don't take time to. I'd rather just sleep.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Sounds right. Yeah.
I don't have time to meditate, in my opinion. I'd rather just be laying there in bed and sleeping. But I do think that would help for some people. And I would love to like do that for my children, like make them feel more free to be able to tell me things like if they were in me, instead of like just squishing it down. Like I'm used to being done like when I was a kid, oh, they're just children, just brush it off because they just hear you talk about it and stuff. And I wish I would take it more to heart. Like,
Yeah, I think and that's what's hard. I think sometimes and why it happens to children, why it kind of gets driven out of them is because most parents just want the best for their children. But especially in our past, that was not like the safe thing in social norms. If you were going to think for yourself and just be more, I guess, metaphysical in your existence in the world, you were kind of an outcast. And I think that's going away now. But I think it would only help children, and it would change the world around us if we let our children be children and experience these things. Because it seems to me that children can tell you some magical stories because they don't have the restrictions on their lives that we adults do a lot of times.
Yeah. Like, what are they going to think about me when I say this?
Yeah.
Like the night terror thing. I have this, like, I used to dream that I'm always fighting demons, and I would be so tired, and like I'd believe in like astral projection, like I was telling you guys earlier. And if you want me to touch base on that, I can totally touch base on that again after this little bit here. But I would always have that I was being chased and fighting, like I was a warrior, and I had to fight against all these demons, like in all these other like universes and stuff. And I'd always be tired, like even as a kid. Right. And I think that's why I'd always wake up like running around. Yeah. Because I was like really kind of fighting in my dreams or whatever. Yeah. And then as an adult, like it happened, I'd have this same nightmare, like where I was just running and fighting. And one night I got scratched by this big demon, like it just reached out and scratched me across my chest. And this was a couple years ago. I woke up and there was a scratch like down my chest, and I told Will about it. He's like, "Oh, you were just fighting in your sleep," which that could be true,
Could be, but
and then when I told about it, like I was telling him, I was like, "Look, I have been always dreaming that I'm always running, fighting for my life. Like I'm this special warrior, and like I'm on this like special society where we're just like go like demon hunting and killing people." And then like it stopped for years. Like those terrors quit happening. I was like, "Oh man, they kicked me out." Like
they knew I was too strong.
Right. They knew I was talking about them. Like, and it's supposed to be a secret society.
Maybe you got promoted. Maybe you start off at that level where you're fighting demons, and then all of a sudden you get more comfortable with yourself, and you get to move on to that higher plane where it's not just about fighting, it's about the connectivity. I sounded really hippie-ish like that.
That really did. Yeah.
But it's really hard for me to even try. I like astral projection. Like when I was little, I was with my mom, and anytime I would get hurt or whatever, this ghost would show up to my grandparents' house that looked just like me. No one in my family had a little girl that looked like me that died around the same age as me. If I had my hair cut, the ghost had its hair cut. So this is what makes me think of astral projection,
Yeah.
So one night I was like with my mom, and long story short, I'd gotten a head injury, and I was like bleeding in like 3 different places on my head. And my cousin woke up and she said, "Mom, is Amanda here?" And she said, "No, why?" She said, "She's standing in your doorway." So my grandparents hired this private investigator to follow my mom when she had us when we were kids, just because, it was a horrible divorce case and child custody bullshit. And he called her and he's like, "Hey," this was a couple days later, he called and he's like, "Hey, you guys need to come get these kids if you can. Like Amanda's got dried blood all over her." Like this, still days later, I had they could see it from the road. He said, "They're just playing out here by the road. Anybody can snatch them." Damn. And like a couple of days before that like I had gotten scared at like my mom's, like something had happened. Like my brother almost drowned like a week or so before this happened because she had seen me laying. She said, "Mom, Amanda's sleeping in the bed with you." And she's like, "No, she's not. They're still down in Florida." She's like, "No, I'm looking at her laying in the bed with you right now." Because that's where I always slept, was with my great aunt when we were at home, like at my grandparents. So that's why I think like that was my safe spot when I was a kid, and like terrified. Like remember holding my brother in the floor that night whenever, just crying, like, "I just wish we were at Granny's. I just wish we were at Granny's. I just wish we were at Granny's." And I was there.
Do you remember? They said they saw you, but do you like actually remember those moments when you would have been there?
I remember how I felt in those moments, like those nights where they told me that they saw a ghost that looked like me. I remember how I was feeling and where I wanted to be, like more than any place else in the world. And then they saw me.
Were you sleeping when they saw you at wherever you were at?
No. When I was holding my brother, the first night when I was laying down in bed, I was laying down, cuddled, like how like in a fetal position, cuddling my brother, like, because we were supposed to be sleeping, but I was like crying and holding him, like just begging to be anywhere, like, being at my grandparents' house. And that's,
Wow.
and then the second time they saw me, when I like hurt my head, I was like sitting on a counter. So she saw me kind of in a standing position in the doorway. But I was awake both times.
Have you had any experience like that as an adult? Because I've heard like astral projection is really prominent in children, but because we change the way we view things, that we sometimes lose it as adults because of the rules of society. But you always hear stories about it as children, but you don't normally hear stories where somebody else sees you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. But you do hear some, and it's similar. Like, I just saw so-and-so, but I know they're somewhere else completely.
Yeah.
And it's confirmed. And
did the people that saw you, did they see you like full on, like no translucency, nothing like that? Like it was like you were physically there?
No, it was like translucent, like a ghost, like it looked like a ghost. Yeah.
That's crazy. Wouldn't that be something to see? Like you're just sitting there and you're like, I know that person, and they look like a hologram from Star Wars.
Right.
I think from like what I've heard is they wouldn't realize it's like not quite right, but kind of right. That's them, but not them.
Something's off. Yeah.
Like it looked like me, but she, she knew it wasn't me, but she's like, it looks like Amanda. Like there's a ghost there that looks like Amanda. Like she's like, are you sure? And so then a couple of days, like after the second time they saw me, a couple of days went by, and then they got called by the private investigator, like, hey, these kids are in trouble. You need to come get them.
Wow.
And I think I've tried so hard to do like astral projection. Like I think I'm trying too hard is the thing. Like I'm overthinking it as an adult, and I don't think it's that hard. I think you just have to access your mind differently.
Well, then there's some people that believe there is a little bit of danger to it.
Yeah.
If you do it.
You're on a different plane, man.
Yeah.
What if something happens to your body when you're not there, or something happens to you out of your body or something?
Yeah. What if that's what shadow people are? Is people that couldn't return back to their physical bodies?
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. I'm doing research on like a near-death episode that'll probably actually end up being in season 2 because, hey, spoiler alert, this is the season finale. But there's stories of these people when they're close to dying or whatever, that they go back, and there's this one guy who's like, I wouldn't have been able to find my body again if it wasn't for my hand outside of like one of the morgue sheets with my class ring on it. He was like, I was looking for my body for a long time, and if it wasn't for that hand hanging off that gurney, I probably wouldn't have ever found it. Like, what happens to that guy's soul? It's just like, well, I guess I'm fucked. Here I am.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of makes me think of another question to ask you is like, when you see these apparitions, ghosts, do you get any sense of what they're going through, or are they lost souls? Are they just visitors? Do you ever get like a feeling of what's going on with them? Like
the kids that I always hear, they're happy. They seem like like they're living their life. I wouldn't say necessarily on a loop, but like in their own little I'm sorry, in their own little bubble. Like they're just,
So it's not a bad thing.
it doesn't feel like that. No, the only time I've ever really felt like it's when something is purposely trying to hurt me. Well, not really hurt me, but like evil feeling.
Right.
You know, that's the only time I feel like they're on our plane, like for a reason.
Do you feel like the more knowledge you gain, the better you're able to control these things trying to hurt you? Like, is it becoming less aggressive towards you now that you're learning more?
No, I think it's worse.
Worse?
It's angry. It's like, stop learning this shit. These are my tricks.
Yeah, but I think too, like when you're learning this stuff, you're not really sure what you're opening up.
Right.
Yourself to, or how to protect yourself. And I think that's one thing I've always had a problem. Like I'm an empath and I feel like I can like read people and like I draw in energy.
Right.
And at work, like I'm always feeling like I can just have, when I'm walking through a room, I can feel like when someone has passed or what, you know, like, I don't know, I can just feel.
Do you feel that emotion as well, though? Like, do you feel like, oh, I'm super angry right now for no reason? Is it because something's in the room?
And it's because of somebody else or something. Yeah, it's not necessarily. And I'm like, I don't know why the hell I'm feeling like this, or why do I all of a sudden feel so anxious, or like, and I'm like, I have no reason to be feeling like this. Like, I was just fine a little bit ago. It's just when people come in. But I don't know how to shield myself yet very well. Like, I don't know how to protect myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it's coming at me stronger, because I'm opening up that gate, but I'm not closing it off, you know?
Right. And you probably see that by the way you feel things coming off people. Do you feel like, okay, thoughts are things and you should probably watch your thoughts a little bit because you're like spreading darkness around you and you don't even know it?
Yeah. I've had things happen, like I said, I just wish something like that, or, you know, and then something bad happens. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then some things I'll think just in my mind, I'll just think like just something like if you're just like having this repetitive negative thought over and over and over, and then you start seeing that happen, you're just really, that makes me take a step back and think, oh shit, I need to really change about how I feel about some things. And like, if it's causing me that much negativity, I need to find out why and try to like fix this before it gets out of hand. Because I think that's where like a lot of evil brews from, and like all that stagnant negativity, it can take a form of its, you know, it can start taking form of demons, honestly. Like, I feel like that draws it towards you, the more negativity you build up around yourself.
Bring it into reality.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, you are what you kind of project and what you let in a way. And it's...
And we literally talked about this a few weeks ago, because I have an issue with negativity where it's like, I feel like I'm constantly thinking negatively, but to me, it's like realistic, you know? And I'm like, damn it, is this damaging to my mental health? And so like hearing this constantly in my life tells me that it's a sign that maybe your boy should be a little more positive. And I keep trying, it's just so hard. I don't know.
I know, it is hard. It really is, because I'm a very negative thinker as well. We kind of, you know, butt heads because I am so negative sometimes. Like, I'll just wake up and be negative. I'm just like, oh, you got to change this, because this is not what you want to manifest for yourself. Like, you don't want that. You don't want to bring that to you. Like, you want good things. You want abundance. And so that's why you got to think positive.
That's so hard. Like, I feel like I'm overly cheesy when I'm like, no, you're doing good, man. You're good.
I know, but hey, you're the best coach for yourself.
Way
like,
to go, me.
It sounds like so cheesy, but like I said, after my 30th birthday, I had like a moment of just feeling bad and down on myself, and I was like, you know what, this is stupid. Like, go to the gym, drink your water, go to the gym, take care of you. And I found out like reading motivational books like motivates me, and I know it sounds so dumb. I was always like, oh, what kind of people read these things? And then like now I get up early in the morning to read, and I start out my morning just doing that and like working on gratitude, like writing 10 things down a day that make you happy, and like instantly feel so much better. And it's like the same thing, like bringing positive light into your life, like good things come to you, you know? And I feel like you just view everyone else in your normal day to day as like, you find more blessings and good things in the bad than just being all negative about it. So it sounds cheesy. I always like my husband, I was at his work reading, waiting on my CT, and one of the gals goes, what's she reading? I guess when I was in the bathroom, and he's like, oh, some inspirational woman book. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and he's like, no, I'm just kidding. I know you like, but it helps.
Yeah.
Since you're an empath, you're basically, it's easier for you to take on the feelings of others, right? So because you understand that, and that is what you were talking about. You're learning how to, or you're trying to learn how to protect yourself.
Yeah, and try to distinguish like what's really my feeling like. And that's where I've really started to like learn to take a moment and in situations like, what am I really feeling right now? Like, is this really what I'm feeling? Or am I feeling anger because they're angry?
Right.
You know, like, or whatever. And then, or if someone comes in the room, I'm like, holy shit, like something's going on. And they're like, what? I'm like, just watch. Like, I can feel like the hostility or whatever. And then stuff will pop off. Or like some of our friends, I'm like, man, they just seem kind of sad or something. Like, they're like, nah, man, I don't think so. I'm like, you should go talk with them, figure out, like, I'm serious, and something would be wrong with them.
And in a way, that's kind of just you thinking that way may actually provide help to them even at times, not just in protecting yourself or understanding why you're feeling stuff. And do you feel like just having that viewpoint, if everybody else started looking a little bit more like that, they might be nicer to each other or more accepting? And
yeah, I think so.
Because I think you have skills and a sensitivity that most of us don't. But do you feel like, say, for somebody like me or any of us here, that part of that is if we just opened up to it, we might be able to experience some of it, maybe not on the same level, but we might connect with each other a little bit better if we...
Yeah, I think for sure. Like, I mean, a lot of people have you can read signs by body language, facial expressions and stuff like that, that people are, that if you just paid attention to how other people were, you could read their energies a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely I think that.
Yeah, because I always feel like that, especially with the work I do, is if you just pay a little bit of attention, the world opens up and you can help somebody, they can help you, just the understandings there. If you just sit there for a second and listen or watch and learn and just give them that space that they need.
Yeah. Or like, I'd be like, because whenever they don't believe me about somebody, I'm like, just sit, just watch. I mean, because they'll come to the conclusion themselves. It just takes longer.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm just like, just pay attention.
You're like, I'm just trying to help you along here, man.
Yeah. Like, I already know. I'm trying to help you.
But then they probably come back and they're like,
oh, you were right.
Yeah. And then they're more open in the future, which is helping them in a way too, because they turned on that light bulb for themselves, even though you showed them where the switch was. And so they can gain a little bit more confidence in looking at the world differently, maybe.
Yeah. Have you ever used your powers for good? Like, not good, I guess. Evil would probably be the lottery.
Evil is better for ratings.
Have you ever tried it? Have you ever tried guessing the lottery numbers or anything like that?
Yeah,
I've considered it, just never did.
I think anything you do for personal gain comes back and bites you in the ass really badly.
Like instant karma type thing.
Yeah.
Like, it works, but then it's like, oops.
Yeah, see what you did? You fucked up with sure. You fucked up with the vibe, so we're gonna get you back.
Yeah, that makes sense. It'd keep you on level playing field. You'd be like, all right, no, I won't do anything super bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I had this person that I just wished this horrible curse on someone. And when I said the words, you know, like when it left my body, I felt it. I was just like, oh my, it was just, you could just feel it explode out of you, you know, just that energy, just boom. And I was like, shit, I really hope that don't really happen to this person. Like because it was horrible.
Yeah.
I was just like, how can I take this back?
That would make me wonder too. So you can feel and see it better than somebody that's not sensitive. But could you see that actually every time any of us gets like that? Maybe we are sending some kind of curse out into the world, and because we don't understand the power that we have and the energy we have, you're able to see it. But like, I could have the same reaction, but never see it. So I keep doing it. And I'm just putting a lot of bad into the world and bringing a lot of bad back onto myself because of the anger and the frustration and and maybe even more not understanding, because most people don't mean to harm others. That reaction is a normal human reaction, but you saw and felt the effects of it right away. As it left your body, you knew what you did, kind of.
Yeah, I was just like,
and it wasn't good for you. You didn't like it.
And I'm just waiting, and I'm like, yeah, this is coming back.
But if it's intention and maybe you recognizing that,
it's like learning
it like maybe took away the power of maybe that spell or that curse, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always feel like the balance is correct, that we get that balance off sometimes, but the work is constantly, you know, you see it in movies like Star Wars and crap. Their whole job is they could be perfect, but sometimes they aren't, and they have to constantly work to be better.
Yeah, I don't know. It was something I was reading. It's like nothing is like, you know how they say like God knows everything you're gonna do. Like everything is like your destiny is like planned out. It's not necessarily pre-planned out. It's like a bunch of things that'll happen based off of this decision you make.
Right.
And like, but you can go based off this decision too.
All those multiple paths.
Yeah.
And every step you take creates more paths that
So-
are possible.
Exactly. So if you're always thinking like negative, like you're doing something negative, like you just refuel. I feel like you're refueling that like negative circle.
You're like in
like,
that headspace. Yeah.
yeah, it's just stuck constantly.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you get out of that kind of lifestyle, then you start to notice it in other people. And then, like I said, it's when you're trying to like help them out in the long run. Because like I'm always some people firm believer, like stress will kill you. Like,
Oh God, yeah.
you know, it's not good to hold on to stuff. And even as I get older, I'm constantly being reminded, like, don't stress on things, dwell on negativity. Like, because like the doctor told me, he goes, if it's not going to bother you in 10 years, then it shouldn't bother you now. I was like, wow.
Like
It's a good way to look
bothers
at
me
things.
all the time.
But he's like, if it's
That is
something
good
you
advice,
honestly
though.
look at, he goes, if you're thinking in the long run, is this going to bug me in 10 years? If it's no, then let it go now. I was like, that's so smart to live by, you know,
Yeah.
that negativity,
It's pretty solid.
it sucks you down.
What would be your best advice for people that are in a negative headspace?
I don't know, because I get in a negative headspace all the time.
Well-
It's really hard getting out of those negative headspaces.
Yes.
What do you find
It's
helps
just-
for you?
You quit wallowing in self-pity, honestly. It's just like you're fueling your own demise.
Right.
And once you realize that, once you're like, damn, I'm the key to everything that's happened to myself. I got to nut up and I got to get up and I got to do better. Tomorrow, I'm going to do better. And that's what I have to tell myself. Tomorrow is another day. You're going to do better. What's happened has happened. Like you can't go back. There's no point in dwelling. Like it's over with.
Yeah.
Like why even precipitate on it? Or, you know, it's like gone, just finished. Like move forward.
As I told my husband, I said, I'm either going to, you know, stress about the things that'll never happen, or I'm going to spend, you know, my whole life stressing on things that'll never happen, or just, you know, trying to figure where I was going with that one. But like basically, like you can stress all the time and it might not happen, or you can stress and then it, you know, does happen. But, you know.
Yeah, 90% of your thoughts aren't real anyway. Like it never happened. It's fake stuff. Like you think about 10% of stuff that is actually happening in your life right now. Most of it's just speculative.
Yeah.
Well, if you're capable of making your thoughts real, then I guess it's even more important to have the right thoughts.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. You said a lot of the stuff that you've seen has been like kind of like one-offs. Like you don't see this. Has there ever been anything that you've seen throughout your entire life that has like stuck with you from the beginning to now?
I don't think so. You know, I always see things in the dark. I always see this like darkness inside the darkness. I don't know how to explain that.
Like a mist, or like just like, is it shaped, or is it just like
Not
a cloud? Or...
No, it's not shaped, and it's like it just almost like tentacle-like type, just like reaches out like toward, you know, like it's like a cloudy. It doesn't have a body.
Yeah.
And it can just move like inside the darkness. Like it's always trying to stay in the dark, like away from the light. It's really hard to explain. Like, so like say if there wasn't any lights here, like in that darkness, it would just be even darker. You could tell. And it would be moving, like trying to move inch out away, like as close as it could get to me while staying in the darkness.
How often do you see that?
Every night.
Like it's a constant recurring theme?
Yeah, it's something always, like I have to have light on. I cannot be in pitch black. And like if I am, like my heart is just like, it feels like it's being squeezed immediately. Like I know that's probably like a panic that I'm like having, but I cannot be in pitch blackness.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Even awake. Like, I mean, like this is like awake, like during the daytime. If I'm in pitch black, it's there.
You feel it.
It's always there.
What do you think would happen if that blackness actually got to you?
I don't know.
You just don't feel ready for that one yet.
I don't know. I feel like it has gotten to me before. And that's why I think I'm kind of trying to like, I think I've blocked a lot of shit off over the years. But I don't know. It almost feels like some of these movies, you know, like where you can just see it like this, like, and it's like going into these people, you know, and then like where it's like suffocating them almost.
Right.
I feel like it would completely take me. I don't think I would die. But I think inside internally, like I would not be me if it got to me.
That makes sense.
Damn, that's nuts. When did that start?
Since I was little. Like I've had this like
for
my entire
every
life.
night?
Yeah. I mean, as long as I can remember, like memories or whatever. Yeah.
That's heavy. Like that's a lot and it freaks you out, right? Like obviously you're not gonna be like, oh great, the tentacle shadows.
Here it is, yeah. And like I just watch it until I fall asleep. I'll watch it, like moving constantly in the dark. I'll fall asleep. Because I know, like, as long as I have light, it's not gonna get to me. Like, so I'll keep myself like in light.
Have you ever tried getting rid of it? Like, have you looked into how to, not with like sage or something like that, but is there like something in any of the research that you've done that is a way to like repel these types of things?
I don't know, because I do sage. I sage a lot, and I do like the Palo Santo sticks.
And that's never
occasionally. No, it feels like it pisses it off.
It's like, I told you to stop that shit.
Like, it feels like it makes it mad, and like it gets braver. So it'll go into like this type of lighting. You know,
Should I do you want me to put these lights up? I can put these lights up.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's fine. But like, there's enough light here that I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
But like, whenever I piss it off, it gets braver and it'll go into like more of a lighted area. It'll come at me stronger.
So you can see it better, like when it gets into the light?
Yeah, but it's still like, there's no shape to it. It's just a black darkness.
Well, that is possibly the most terrifying thing I've ever heard.
I feel like
in
it's
my
like
life.
Lost, like that black cloud thing.
Yeah.
See, it sounds like it's scary to you, but not necessarily terrifying. It's almost more terrifying to you because maybe you don't live with this. I don't know. Are you terrified or just like, I don't want to mess with that?
Sometimes it does terrify the shit out of me, you know, when I can feel like it's like really, and then other times it's just like, oh, this is normal. I'm used to this. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's just another day.
Have you seen any like movies or something that kind of would describe your experience like you've experienced it? Have you ever come across that?
I don't know.
The Mist?
The Mist.
Wouldn't The Mist work? Tentacles?
I mean, not
Coming out
just
of
as far as tentacles, but like seeing kind of the supernatural stuff. Because when I hear about it from people that have experienced it, it's hard to explain. But you say like movies have to put something there for us to see.
So you know how like the show Supernatural?
Yes. I
And
do.
like how the demons are like just a cloud of black smoke? I guess I could kind of explain it like that. I guess I've had a demon follow me my entire life. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it is. And this motherfucker just keeps like poking at me.
Right.
You know, I don't know. But I guess I could explain it like that. But it doesn't, there's no, how that one looks like cloud. It looks like a cloud. This is just straight black darkness.
Okay.
Like blacker than black is what usually described as, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's intense. Damn. Yeah. I can't imagine that. That's why it terrifies me, because the thought of seeing it every once in a while is scary, but the thought of seeing, like knowing
Every
that
night.
it's there constantly is, no, it's too much for you, boy. I would be donezo. It'd be full bright ass LEDs 24 hours a day. I would never sleep again.
Even during the day. I mean, it's there and it's there all the time. It's always there. A lot of times it's just like lurking, like just in the corner.
At this point, are you happy that you have this experience? I mean, I'm sure at times it was probably too much, but at this point, are you like, I'm glad that I get to be a part of this on some level?
Yeah. For sure. It wouldn't be me if I didn't have that.
Right.
And I get to be a part of a world that most people scoff at and
Think it's make believe. Yeah. Even better.
But it's hard because I have kids, like I've said, and it's hard. I don't teach them more so because I'm still kind of like, I believe in all this shit, but I also have that part of like everybody, the society pushing at me, wanting me to be normal.
Right.
You know, and I've been trying to be that normal person for so long, and it's hard to like really branch out like, hey, this is me now, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to be that.
Yeah, it seems like it would be, I mean, here we have you on a podcast to describe it to other people, but that in itself is a way of opening up that could be hard to do because you're being yourself, you know, and explaining the things that you experience, but not everybody sees that.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe people will now.
I mean, even my husband, he thinks I'm a quack most of the time. He's just like, whatever, she's on her shit again. Yeah. Here we go.
Same. You hear my husband's response. Oh, motivational woman's book. He's like, oh, Heather's on her health kick. She's, drinking the positivity juice over here. Like, no, he's always like, all right, basket. Like, I have my days where I'm on my game and then, feeling defeated, negative. And then he's like, all right, here we go again.
See, I work with some sensitive nurses, and like, I don't want to say where I work or bring anybody into it. But when I say sensitive nurses, even some of them have been told like their entire life that shit is not real. Like they see auras. They can see people's, or like, she's like, oh, you're so red today, or somebody's red, it's going to be a bad day or something like that. And they're like, what are you talking about? And she you don't know what she's talking about. She's like, oh, we don't talk about that. You know, and then like another nurse, like she's seen a couple ghosts there on the unit. And
that's got to be fun though, to work with people that also see it. They'd also experience that type of stuff.
Oh man, on night shift when we were all working together, that's when we were all on the same shift. That would be when things would happen.
Yeah.
Nurses have stories, man.
Oh yeah.
Having known my sister's a nurse, having known a lot of nurses.
Yeah.
There's like a level of the world that they see differently, and they may not talk about it openly amongst all of them, but I always hear these crazy stories like that from nurses, and you're convinced once they tell you, or once you've heard a similar story, because that can't all be made up.
We have these 2 automatic water fountains on like each end of our nursing station, you know, and they go off. One of them does it more so than the other one, but they go off all the time, just like out of the blue, just goes off.
Thirsty ass ghost. It happens. Yeah.
And that's where like some of the oriented patients have seen the little boy playing in the sink, like washing his hands, like, and they're like, "There's a little boy playing in the sink." We're like,
no, there's not.
You know, and now, I mean, we're just, when I first started, it used to freak me out because I could feel like, I'd be like, okay, I feel like I could feel the energy. I'd never seen it, but I could feel it. And then that one night, it was like midnight, we had a patient that was passing away in a different room, and that patient was like freaking out and looked terrified. He wasn't like, they hadn't deemed that he was actively dying, but he was going downhill real fast. And he'd go like that, just like freak out, you know, and I'm like, okay, do you see something behind me? And we're not supposed to like indulge in like visions and stuff.
But who can help it?
And I'm like, okay, because I could feel stuff. I was like, do you see something behind me? And I'd already, like, all the hairs on my arms were already standing up at this point. So I already knew there was something back there. And that man goes, yeah. I said, do you see a man back there behind me? He's like, no. I said, how about, is it a woman? He's like, no. I said, is it a little girl? I said, is it a little boy? And his eyes just like bugged out of his head. And he just like pulls his feet, because it was playing with his feet. He pulls his feet up and he's like terrified.
Wow.
And then I felt this thing attached to me the rest of the night. Like I could feel every time I would turn, it was behind me. Like I could just feel it with me all night, you know?
Yeah.
A couple hours later, I go into another patient's room and I'm doing something with him, talking with him. And that patient bugs eye out. And I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't even, because this guy's nonverbal. He can't talk with me at all. And he just like, and I turn around and that little boy, I don't know what I couldn't describe his clothes. All I can describe is his haircut. I turn around and there's a little boy like standing right behind me. He looked about maybe 5 or 6 years old, maybe 9. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. With like the little bowl
cut?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Terrified that like I just was like, holy shit. And then I closed my eyes and opened them and it was gone. Like just like that.
And he was like super close to you?
Yeah, it was like right behind me.
No,
I turned around, it's like right there.
That's nightmare fuel. No thanks.
Yeah.
That's way too.
But like our patients would hear, like they're like, "Do you guys have kids here? Like, there shouldn't be little kids out there laughing and playing. You know, it's late. They should be like, no, there's
just the ghosts."
And this is patients that are not, that are completely oriented. They know exactly where they are. They are not hallucinating. Like,
get those kids off my lawn.
Michael's parents had a house in Michigan, and Michael's mom said she used to wake up all the time and go out to yell at the kids because it sounded like they were like, it was an old Southern home, and like, and it had a wraparound, you know, like upstairs with the stairs, and it would sound like the kids were running around up there. And she'd come out and she said nothing. She'd hear people like going up and down the stairs, but it was always like kid laughter. And many times like her dad would wake up and be like, "Do you hear the kids?" And she's like, "No, they're sleeping." Like every time. She's always like, this house was haunted, like something.
Yeah. I feel like children ghosts are the creepiest. I feel like it just has to be. But you say you hear kids laughing and it doesn't feel evil, right?
Well, I think it's maybe because kids didn't go through something terrible or traumatic to die. Maybe if you did see a kid and it was like, you know, really tortured, then maybe that kid did go through something to die. But all in all, maybe it was just a freak thing, like a house fire there or something happened on that area. And then they just attached to it and they're happy. Like they're in a better place, kind of just like you said, living on a loop.
Yeah. I don't know. The figure that I saw, I don't think was a child ghost. I think it was a demon. It just had that feeling like this just is not a natural. And I think it was in a child form for manipulation.
Like creep factor.
or like trying to,
Get closer to you
yeah,
because you'd be more acceptive of a kid than
yeah.
Hmm.
Or like
That's what we were talking about, like, on Black Eyed Kids, remember? I
it
said
could have been
maybe.
posing as a shadow of
Yeah.
his for a while,
Yeah.
you know, like, which makes it even creepier feeling and sounding if I think about it that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What if it's a demon? It's probably like, she's an empath. Let's be a little kid and see if that works. And it didn't quite work, so I don't know. That's just me telling a story, but it seems like those would be games that those kind of entities would play.
You like
Constantly
feeding off
testing.
your.
Yeah.
Do you think it like feeds off your like fear or energy or something like that?
I think that like the thing that I always see definitely feeds off of fear and anger, and anytime there's an argument around, it gets stronger. Or like when I'm absolutely terrified, or like if I watch a scary movie, this is like, I don't watch scary movies. I don't like drawing that type of energy to me. I will watch them and I do love them,
Yeah.
but it makes everything happen like 10 times worse. You know, like it's just even stronger.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because like I am already heightened to it at that point, because I'm already like on like nerves, you know, just nervous and like on end, but it does, I feel like, make it worse.
Yeah, I think if I could see stuff like that, scary movies wouldn't have the same effect on me they do now, or I wouldn't enjoy them the same way. It was just like maybe too much and just put you in the wrong headspace maybe. Now, looking around at the world around you and how everybody seems to panic a lot more over little things, how do you feel with the experience experiencing the things you experience? How do you look at the world around you and have some kind of hope for us?
I don't know, because like some of the things that I see, like I know it's okay. Like the picture of Tunkin is letting you know that it's okay. Because he wasn't a very religious man. He may have believed in heaven and hell, but he was not like, I go to church and I am not I'm a holy roller kind of person.
Yeah.
And he's okay.
Right.
I mean, he clearly showed us that he's fine. And that's what I think that picture was all about, letting Will know I'm okay.
That makes sense.
So that's what I look forward to. Yeah, I do think for some of us that it's not okay. I do think, and I think that you bring it on yourself. People that are tormented souls, I think you were a tormented soul before you died. So now you're tormented because that's the only way you know how to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Trigger warning for me. Holy shit. Yeah.
It's just this is an
Terrifying. Like, oh God, be nice.
what you're seeing is an opportunity to fix that.
Yeah. Oh no, I've known about this opportunity for years now, and it's just making those decisions in those moments. That's what's the hardest, because when you're upset or negative about something, you don't care if you should look at it positively. You're like, fuck that view. I'm mad at this, you know, or I'm negative about this or anything like that. Like it's hard to break out of that once you've been kind of attuned to it.
But you were saying earlier that's like, it's kind of work to constantly,
It is.
you know, you can't just sit where you're at. And then when you have a bad day, you got to let that day go, right?
What? Oh, you think your boys phoning it in or what?
No, I think
They're just like, I don't really care about you.
I think some of it is just the letting go, almost, is like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
If you let go of some of that stuff you can't control, it makes it easier to change like your viewpoint in the world.
Yeah,
maybe.
that makes sense.
Because there's nothing you can do about it once you already screwed it up, right? Might as well fix it now.
I guess.
You're getting life advice from Amanda here today. You didn't know you were going to get so much out of this episode, Scott.
I did. This is a season finale. It has to be amazing, and it has been so far.
Yeah, we turned Christian a believer.
I know.
You didn't
Imagine
turn. I
Dragons.
was already a believer because as a child, I had something similar to like an astral projection situation. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show.
You
but
have. I remember being
when,
like, what the fuck,
like,
dude?
I'm jumping on the bed with one of my best friends, just having a great time. We're just jumping around, middle of the night. My mom comes in, turns on the light. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing with Scott. The kid's name was Scott.
It was me in the future.
And she's like, what? And she looked over. It was just me in my room. He lived across town, but that was Scott. And I was wide awake when it was happening, but it was my friend Scott, probably sleeping at home. It's the only thing I can explain. It wasn't a bad situation. We were just jumping on a bed like kids would.
Yeah.
So astral projection seems real to me.
Like I said, we should, over the summer break, you should in particular, look into how to astral project and see if we can do a social experiment until season 2 starts. And just you doing videos on YouTube or TikTok about, okay, guys, I learned this. We can give it a shot. I'll update you. And just kind of like a vlog of your studies through astral projection.
See, and what we could have is we could have you on the podcast. I'll be somewhere else and try to project here. They won't see me, but
Yeah.
you might.
I might see it. I might see it too. It'd freak me out though. And I would not want any part of that.
Yeah, I don't know how they saw me. I just remember how I felt in both of those situations. Like I was absolutely terrified, and that was my safe spot. That was my safe spot. My grandmother's house was, and that's where I wanted to be more than anywhere else.
That I wonder if that's, and you hear about like with kids that are in bad situations, they kind of take themselves away from that spot. And that almost,
Disassociation. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds similar. Like it's also a form of protection, I'm sure. But the fact that somebody saw you somewhere else, more than one somebody, it's pretty convincing. And there's a lot of possibilities that open up to that.
But
Yeah.
I think because, like she said, she also did grow up with more of an open-minded family on their views as well, too.
Well, you know, they were always like superstitious, but they were like super religious. Like my grandmother, so they were Pentecostal, or not necessarily Pentecostal, but just Assembly of God. But they still did the touch you, pass out kind of thing, and like talking in tongues, running around the pews.
Oh yeah.
So that's why they believed in ghosts.
Yeah.
But they didn't believe in like magic and astral projection and any of that type of stuff. But they did believe in like being able to see spirits. But anything else, you're just like crazy.
But see, the thing is with that is people who are religious especially should believe in magic and all that stuff, because in the Bible itself, it tells you to not do those things. So if anything, it's in the Bible, it should be real, right? It's a real thing if God tells you not to do it.
So I was reading, Will wanted to get like a Psalms tattoo, and I was reading it. He was reading it to me, and as he was reading it to me, I'm just thinking, this flows like spell work, you know?
Yeah, I believe it is kind of.
Yeah, like reading it, then I was like, give me that and let me read it for myself. And it reads like spell work, because Christianity came after
Based
witchcraft. And I'm not Wiccan. That is a religion. So you have to be pretty straight with it, like follow it pretty strictly. But I do follow witchcraft and study and all that.
Yeah.
I've always had an issue with religion.
A lot of people do.
I was forced into religion growing up. They made me go to church. I had to go to my grandmother's church when I was little. Yeah, we learned Bible study and all that, but I don't remember hardly any verses, because I remember being off in my own world, thinking about things all the time, you know? So, no, I don't study the Bible. I've never studied.
That was about sums up my childhood with religion. I went for the donut at the end of it, and that was about it. And the whole time, and through Bible study, I was thinking about getting the donut at the end of it, and how I couldn't wait to get home and play with my toys, and just never understood why we were kneeling up and down and eating the body of Christ and drinking the blood of Christ,
which is a spell.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, Catholicism definitely felt very cultish to me growing up. Just seeing it was like. Yeah,
Christianity is built upon paganism.
Exactly.
Which is where, magic and everything comes from.
Well,
that's why they tell you not to follow witchcraft.
No, it is. That's their.
It replaces paganism, right?
Yeah, but they believe in one God. In paganism, you believe in multiple gods. So that's where they.
But the reality is that there could be multiple quote unquote gods, and there could be one supreme creator. Right. And so that's what it is. It's the supreme creator. And then there's other gods. It's not saying those gods aren't real. Are you convincing
us or you?
No, I'm just saying from my personal perspective, like, look, it's okay to get dicey. We all have weird, different opinions on shit. But like, I believe that everything is technically real.
Christianity is built upon paganism. A lot of the stuff they use is directly from paganism.
Yeah. The holidays.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure. The holidays hijack those. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of the stuff you're talking about is older than Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been down this road so many times.
But you're when you were saying that Christianity is fighting against magic or witchcraft, and that is, I don't think that's the basis or the basics of the religion. No. That is the human factors coming in, controlling the religion later on.
That's exactly what I think religion is a way to control people.
Right.
But I mean, if you look at all of the every religion around the world, they all have like their own, but they're kind of based off the similar things. Everything's kind of similar in all of them. So,
and that's something I've always said is like the basis of any religion is actually love. Like for the most part, like that's what the message is. Hey, love each other the way you love yourselves. The end. All the other shit is kind of just tossed in there.
I'm more of a balance kind of person than a love person.
Oh,
you can't just have all love all the time.
Aren't you like the hippie generation, dude? What the fuck are you talking about? You can't have love all the time. Can you imagine how great the world would be if everyone in your life day to day was just loving on each other? Like, oh, it's all good. Everyone's in a happy mood.
Would you take it for granted though at some point?
Yeah, 100%. But that's me because I'm an asshole. All right. But everyone else, maybe other people can be like, this is really good. Me, I'd be like, this is maybe too good.
I think sometimes the bad things in life are okay because life is supposed to be bad sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's what you do with it next.
And that's where they say like gratitude and changing things. You find little good things, at least even within the bad. I mean, I know, like I said, my husband hates it, and I always annoy him with the phrase, gratitude will change your attitude when we're all feeling down. Like the kids, I'm always preaching it, but I'm just like, it's true. Like last week, I burned my hand on the stove.
And you said, thank you.
I boiled quinoa all over the place. I was mad, and I was like, you know what? This sucks. And I was like, but I have healthy dinners prepped for the whole week, and I have a, stable home and a house that I get to cook this in, and just like finding little things.
That's
like it
too
helps.
much gratitude.
Yeah, that's
no, but you just if you think in good things, like you will be that way.
I burned myself. Damn it!
I would be
and
like,
then I'd move on.
But at least I didn't die.
Yeah.
No, I mean it was just multiple things. I was like, this sucks, but then I'm like, nope, just be thankful and get through it. And
So do you have any other noteworthy experiences that have just kind of stuck with you? From the sounds of it, you witness this stuff fairly regularly. So I imagine that you're just like a wealth of crazy stories, right?
Yeah, I guess, I kind of touched on that one experience where Will and I were together, and they were like, the door, like we were holding the door closed.
Go into that the entire thing.
That is what freaked me out was, okay, whenever I experience shit, it's just me.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me this, both of us are experiencing this shit.
Yeah.
Like we both knew that door was coming open. The door was locked, and they were still like just banging it.
Yeah.
Like and we were pushing the bed against the door, like holding the bed against against the wall. We both were experiencing that. And then when it stopped, it quit. It just stopped. We go out, and there's no sign of anybody in the house. There's no sign of anybody around the house. Like there was no footprints around the door frame, doors and windows. And
do you ever try to take pictures of this stuff, especially now that you have one picture?
No, because it always happens too quickly.
Okay.
It's like whenever I feel like I'm seeing things at night, like I will put my camera on and try to just like record with my phone and just see if anything will happen, and nothing ever does because I feel like it's too smart. Yeah, and I feel like it's just it knows that you are attuned and watching it, so it's not gonna. I think they slip up when they get caught on camera, or like maybe this was on purpose. He wanted Will to know he was okay, but for the most part, I feel like when these things get caught on camera, it's total accident. They're way too smart for that.
Do you feel like they don't want us to know, like they're hiding from us, or do you feel like there's a part of them that actually want us to know about them?
I feel like some of them do want us to know about them. Like I believe in a lot of supernatural things. I think I believe in them so much. Like I've wanted to be a vampire my entire life, just like all that lore and everything. And now I can't be in the sun. I've manifested the fact that now I'm allergic to the fucking sun.
Too far, too much. Yeah.
Maybe I should just start drinking blood at this point, and maybe I can be in the sun. But
it could be your guardian angel be like, make her allergic to the sun, because otherwise she's going to start becoming a vampire.
Yeah.
Someone's looking out for you.
But I think some of them kind of, when they see that you're attuned to them, or like if they, like fairies, I kind of believe in fairies,
Thank you.
I do believe that those little things exist, and I do believe they're little jokesters and tricksters. Shit will disappear, and then you've looked there. You've looked there a million times, and then it'll randomly appear. Like I lost my wedding band for a year. I think it was maybe 2 years. When we moved out of the base housing, it was up under the foot of my dresser. The dresser has not been moved. You can see the carpet, like the indent of the carpet, and the freaking ring was under there. How the fuck did that happen?
That is weird.
Yeah.
Maybe a fairy's taking Michael's then, because we can't find his either, and it's getting really.
I just think, they'll bring it
That
back
thing
when
is
they're done with
missing.
it, but they do.
Yeah.
They're definitely tricksters.
What's
So-
funny is I've heard about fairies being tricksters.
Yeah.
And that was the most convincing thing that I'd ever read, because usually I don't believe that kind of stuff. But I'm like, I could believe fairies being tricksters from some of the stories. I don't believe they're these like little things like that are peaceful all the time. But
No.
it's
Yeah.
funny that you say it like that, because I could totally see a fairy being a trickster.
When your car keys go missing, fuck, they pick those things up.
Yeah.
And like then they'll put them some random place that you've looked 3 fucking times. Come on.
Now I know it's
Yeah.
not my dryer that's eating the missing socks. It's the fairies, because I don't understand how we have that many
No, that's
socks go missing.
No, that's a whole nother creature. That's a whole
fairies
nother
don't
creature.
mess with the sock monster.
Yeah.
You should know this.
Oh man.
No, yeah, I've had a house where that happened too, but it was kind of like a negative house in general. And so there was things that went missing of mine that I asked my roommate, I was like, dude, did you fucking take this? And it was always, no. I'm like, are you fucking with me, or did you take it? Because I knew exactly where it was. And it was always the same thing. It's like, dude, why would I take that? And stuff that I knew like 100% it belonged where it was. And then it wouldn't be there. A week would pass, 2 weeks would pass, and suddenly it'd be right there. I'm like, well, it's the place I was staring at for 10 minutes straight. Never showed up. Like, that's always baffled me. Like, where does it go? Where do these things go? It can't. What happened? Someone explain it to me, please.
In her case, it was the fairies. In your case,
Am I gonna have to bleep that out too? God, this dude made me bleep out so much shit in like the last few episodes. So he's like, no, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, back to. So yeah, fairies. That's cool. I'm glad you believe in that shit too. This is fun. I've never had someone that has 100%. I could say the weirdest off the wall thing, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that." Yes.
Scott's like, we gotta start hanging out with Amanda more often.
For now, yeah.
Are you up for someday reading Scott's tarot cards?
No, I don't do that. I'm sorry.
So whenever I first got my tarot cards, I did readings with me and my friends, and I didn't really know how to do it. Like I still have a book that tells me, like, I go through it and I read it, and like it tells me like my cards, what they mean, like trying to help me like learn to be able to do it. So I had them shuffle the cards. I was like, okay, you shuffle the cards and you think about what you want the cards to answer. Because I told them, I was like, I don't necessarily ask the cards a question and just do it. I'm thinking about what I want to know, and then I do my reading. So I told them, I was like, just think about what you want to know. And I did the reading, and it was like super crazy, and it was so accurate. It was scary a little bit, I was like, oh shit. And like my friends are like, holy fuck. I was like, yeah, no, this was like my first time ever doing this shit like for anybody else.
Yeah.
And
So you
I'd
think
only
you
done
have
it
a
for
natural
myself
gift
like
for it?
3 times before.
Damn.
You would be worried about that, Scott?
I do, just because like, and it's no offense to anyone that does this. Like for me, in my religion, I believe that doing any kind of witchcraft or any spells or anything like that isn't, for the creator, is frowned upon. And I could open myself up to things that could latch on to me or anything like that. And I'm warned not to do that. So I don't do that. I'm curious as fuck about it. Trust me. I wish I could do all of it because that's my personality, but I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it.
What happens if you were in the room when somebody else had it done to them? Is that the same? Could you watch it?
I'd be able to feel it. That's the thing. Like I'm similar. Like I feel the energy in the room. I feel the emotions in the room. I can tell all kinds of crazy shit just from feeling, And so I feel like if there was something negative in the room, I'm not saying that every tarot card reading is bad. I'm saying that you have the opportunity. It just takes one to open up a door that you can't close. And to me, I've always been more on the safe side, the cautious side, curious, but cautious.
I have a tarot app on my phone that I look at every morning. Gives me one card each day.
Wow.
And it's kind of interesting. Even it's part psychology, I feel. Like how there could be no magic to it.
But you find connections.
Well, the way that card comes about and what it means will have a connection to you. And just you contemplating that might help you deal with it. It doesn't have to have magic at all. I think we talked about it on an earlier podcast with Georgina, where we said magic could be weaponized psychology in a way.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of your perception of things that might make it bad or good.
Yeah.
I mean, And sometimes, like in your case, it sucks to go through, but in the end, you come out of it and it's just part of you now. But not everything is roses out there.
Well, for
Sometimes
sure.
the worst crap makes you move along and grow.
The comment you made about like doing something like that where the energy will latch onto you.
Yeah.
That's how I have been like taught to grow up, like from my grandparents,
Yeah.
So that's why I was always like in the closet, like buying I would always go to like all these like bookshops, like Barnes and Noble was like for a young witch, especially like in the closet young witch, because they don't like, you can go in there and you can buy the books. They don't care. They don't. And a lot of them are like, oh, I like this book. Or this is really interesting that you're buying this, when you're buying it. But for those young witches that want to experience that type of stuff, like that is the best place to go to find books. Because they don't, you can go in there at 16, however old and buy a book. They don't care,
Yeah.
But that's how I'd have to like go and be like in the closet, like doing all this stuff. Because my grandparents are like, you're just opening up the door to all this evil energy and it's going to attach, which heck, hey, it may have. That may be what I see every night. But I think it attached itself to me a way long before I ever even knew what I was like as a child. Like as a little kid, it attached itself to me.
But most of what you get out of it is something you feel is good for you.
Yeah.
So in the end, you're gaining a benefit. Sure, you have to deal with the darkness every once in a while.
Every night.
As we all do in our own ways.
Yeah.
But you get through it and you find the light again.
Because you're stronger than it. Exactly. Like as long as I can fight it off. And like I said, I think, and that might be some kind of psychology stuff too that, going on. But if I'm ever in the dark and it like absorbs me, I'm definitely not going to be me.
Right.
Right.
And so you're
so I have to definitely like protect myself.
And that's where you're always trying to gain the knowledge and understanding and learning more. Probably something you'll always do now.
Yeah. And I worry because like I open the gate to expose my children because I think especially my son is very sensitive.
Really?
Yeah. He's a very sensitive kid and like always like he knows when somebody he can feel and he doesn't know what it is yet, but he knows when people are sad. Mm-hmm. He knows when he can read energies, but he doesn't know what he's doing yet.
Yeah.
But I can see it in him so clearly. I can see it in him, and I'm afraid that it's already like comes after my kids because they all see things and like things that they sometimes when they tell me things that they've seen or like they've experienced, I'm like, yep, that's real.
Do you have?
But I try not to I just try to let them think that it's not real. I'm just like, oh, it's just a nightmare. I just like shoot it down because I don't want them terrified that it is real. Like I want them thinking that it's not. And be able to like try to block it out and grow out of it.
Yeah. Are you comfortable saying any of the things they've seen, or would you rather and it's perfectly fine if you want to just keep it to yourself?
They've seen a man before. I think they've seen that man the same, like the day I saw him, I think they saw him that night, but mostly it's just like, they feel like something's trying to get them in the dark. Also, they have that feeling.
Right. Which I think that's a normal
It's
feeling,
a normal childhood thing.
But maybe it's because children know things that we grow out of. Yeah. And then in your case, because you're learning about this stuff or trying to learn more, you'll be able to help them more as they get to the point where they can understand it. Like right now, they're, kids, it's too scary at times. But at some point, if they're sensitive, you're going to be there to help them understand it a little bit better, I would bet.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not like, I don't think they see ghosts. I don't think that, but it's more so demon type things is what we see more. It's like creatures, evil looking creatures, a lot of times. What my son sees mostly, and my daughter, Henley has seen a couple of times, like just terrified that it's coming at her in her sleep, coming out from under the bed or whatever, but it's like more of like creatures with big claws and like, just scary things like that. But they've described this one that looked exactly like a creature that I saw, and I'm like, okay, I've never told anyone what it looked like or how it made me feel. I've just been like terrified that this thing has been in my nightmares forever. And now my kids see it.
Do you ever feel like maybe
Sometimes.
It's not necessarily dangerous, but scary, but in a different realm that maybe you're not supposed to see? Or is it just like
terror.
Like I could see the stuff scary, but also
But in their reality, it's not scary. Like that's
Yeah.
what everything looks like.
yeah, maybe we're
And
scary
you
to them.
shouldn't be in
and,
their reality. Yeah.
and that's why they're reacting in a scary way.
Sometimes I do think that because sometimes I feel like it's like there to protect me more so than it is to like hurt me.
Okay.
Just because I'm like, well, if it's going to hurt me, it's had a lot of opportunity to hurt me.
Yeah, that's what
especially in my dreams.
That's what I would think is, if that something like that is so scary would seemingly have the power to do whatever, but the fact that they're just there, maybe they're supposed to be there, just most people don't see them or they don't normally see you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that kid at the stairs that's all, wait a second, like all of us, you probably scared,
Oh, that was evil.
Yeah,
That was-
as scary as it
Yeah.
was to you, though, maybe the way that you were just as scary because that evil doesn't normally get brought to the light.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But tell him he's 100% wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, you can tell he does it all the time. But
No, I definitely see what you're saying. Like to them, also, we might appear strange and scary.
yeah, sometimes I think we focus on the evil and scary sometimes, and maybe it's just the way it is. I don't know. I mean, I don't have that experience, but in the real world, like things are scary, but also that's just the way it is. And what are you going to do with that? Can you sit around and be scared all the time, or do you have to learn to function? Like you've had to learn to function with what you get to see and experience. So, and that's not an easy thing to do, I would think either.
No, but I think, if I had, I think I'd be more. How can I say this and be polite? I'd be more flighty, I guess, is the type, like off the wall, like really believer. If I had more of a lenient family and that they didn't push into me like, oh, this isn't real. This is, like I think I would definitely be definitely a different person.
Right. Yeah.
But learning how, like, with as bad as it sounds that they like maybe that they squashed it, and
Yeah.
it actually helped me kind of, now that I'm coming into it, I'm like, okay, well, this is real, but I can distinguish between reality and that.
And maybe that squashing it helped you determine that. Like, it wasn't something that was ran rampant when you were younger, but now you like had that discipline to know this is real. I understand where I'm at and stuff.
Yeah.
This has been pretty fascinating. I think we have to wrap it up a little bit, unfortunately. But I mean, are you down to come on again?
Yeah.
Cool, because this has been fun.
Yeah.
What a fun conversation we've had. What a way to close out a season.
Did I confuse you a little bit with some of my questions
Not
and being
even.
less skeptical?
No, I think it's just we could always talk to Amanda all day long. And
I'm
never
sorry
end,
if I
so.
asked a lot of questions, but
no,
Well,
that's
I
the whole
think
point
it's
of
good
this. Yeah.
because like it shows that I'm a real person. It shows that I
Right.
do have like normal beliefs.
Mhm.
Like I do some of the things I'm just like, fuck, this is really happening.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell anybody,
Mhm.
like, but I do have like the skeptical beliefs in some things sometimes, but I mean, I believe it, like I could see from that point of view, but I can also see from the other point of view too. So I think it's good. It shows people.
it definitely was a fun conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah. And thanks so much for coming on again.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll find some topic for you to come on again and just talk, because it's always a treat hearing these stories.
I know it's really hard for me to stay on subject, like, so it's just
Hey,
like,
same. You're in the right
Yeah.
place. Trust me. This is what we do. Yeah. So I guess that wraps it up. Thanks to everyone that has, been a part of season 1. It's been fun.
Yes.
It's been interesting. And remember, throughout the summer, we're going to be dropping little bonus content, summer vacation, 10-minute, 20-minute episodes here and there on random stories and different topics. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. So make sure you tune in, same place, same time. Thanks for the support. And we will see you next year, season-wise, but we'll see you next week. You know what? I ruined it. See you later, guys. Wait, let me say something about the social medias. I don't think we touched on them at all. You guys can
You
finish
can
up.
copy it from another episode and just throw it in there.
I can. It's the freakydeaky.com and at Freaky Deaky Pod and the Freaky Deaky Podcast on Facebook. Goodbye. Thanks for a great season 1. I don't know how to end things. Goodbye.